intro. If it was not the new graphics, it is definitely the new intro music. But no matter which one it was, if you are one of our exceptional returning guests from the last 2 years with Convos with Clay, I am confident you are asking what in the world is up with this episode. So welcome to the rebrand episode. That's right. Convos with Clay is now the Restoration Group podcast. Today is a very special day. And to help me kick off that occasion, I want to invite you to meet two of my good friends. One you've met before, and one is joining us for the first time today. Aaron Scott and Michael Mead. How we doing, team?
I'm doing so good.
I have something to fidget with.
So you're good?
So to make
What is your fidget thing?
Well, I wish I was more prepared, but I
like
just
a
had to use a
paperclip.
paper
It's a
clip.
paper
That
clip.
was next time I'll have something better and like cooler, but
They
it's
have
a
like
paperclip.
fidget spinners.
I know, it's like a
and-
whole thing now. My kids have a million, but I have a paperclip. It's the best I could do.
This is how we roll. I absolutely love this.
It's a millennial move.
Oh, that was mean. All
Can we
right.
edit that out?
It's a middle-aged move.
Oh, worse.
Even better.
Okay,
Here
okay,
we
okay.
go.
I'm sorry.
Oh.
Yeah. So Clay.
Yes.
We have done Convos with Clay.
Yes, we
for
have.
2 years.
Uh-huh.
Really 2 full years. We almost got to 100 episodes of Convos with Clay.
We really did.
We're rounding the corner on 100 podcast episodes created for our audience.
Yeah.
So I just have to ask, with what we're moving into,
Yeah.
are we still having conversations? What's the story there?
Okay, so this new format, like what are we doing? There really is no new format. There still are conversations.
Excellent.
Obviously, we've shifted to a in-person 3-person team, and we're doing video as well, which is a major primary focus for us in the rebrand.
Yeah.
But always conversations.
Yeah.
Always conversations.
Okay. Next question.
Yeah.
So Combos with Clay
Yeah.
was the old podcast,
True story.
and you were the host of that. Are you still the host of the Restoration Group podcast?
I am still the host. You guys graciously called me the alpha communicator one time. I thought that was really cool how you both did.
Tell the truth, Aaron. Tell the truth. Tell the truth.
If you're not watching this on YouTube and you're
get
only
red right
listening,
here.
just note for the audio, my face disagrees.
Yeah, they've never called me that ever. Yes, I am the host. I am still the host, but you two are co-hosts. And, for the listeners and watchers out there, Aaron and Michael will both be consistent presence. They'll both be a consistent presence, even when we have guests on, which we will have, and we'll talk about that in a second. But they'll be joining me on our internal episodes, but also when we have guests, they'll be co-hosting with me.
Yeah.
Co-hostess with the mostest.
I mean, we can high five
Yes!
because we're on video now.
Oh, I love it.
So, Clay, just talk about the heart and the why
Yeah.
with Combos with Clay. It was pretty clear. And for our audience who have been with us for a long time, just really for their clarity, is the heart still the same? Is the why still the same? What's going on there?
Yeah, the heart is still the same, right? I mean, we exist to help restore life. That's this foundational thing for us. And Combos with Clay, the purpose was to do that through awareness, inviting conversations. And that heart is still there. We're still very passionate about that. And so it's just a little 1 degree tweak, just a 1 degree tweak that we are making with this rebrand.
Yeah. So tell me why, because it's a lot of change. So why the rebrand? Why are we doing it?
Yeah. It was made intentionally to align with our parent company, Restoration Group. Hence, right, the Restoration Group podcast. We went for clarity there. Nothing fancy, nothing cute. We were just trying to make sure it was like blatantly obvious. But aligning with our parent company, Restoration Group, which in RG, is, as I call it, because I like acronyms, and we call everything an acronym.
That's not an acronym, just to be clear.
RG is not an acronym?
Acronyms spell something.
Oh, okay. We're going to debate that in a different one, but we're going to keep going here. Okay. So Restoration Group, or RG is like,
It's just like a shorthand or initials.
or I'm lazy. So we could just call it that. I'll say that. But we invest in Oklahoma City leaders, right? Oklahoma City leaders that intentionally want to integrate their Christian faith into their business. And so specifically for us, we want the podcast to now align with those efforts of Restoration Group. And so again, it was just a little shift. We had some previous topics we would talk about on the podcast that wouldn't align with that. And now we are just narrowing the focus real clearly to be with the company.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense to me. This
I wonder
also
why.
was kind of my idea. Just to be clear.
Also true. Also true.
So Aaron, I want to get you in the mix. And Clay introduced you, but just so people know, you work for Restoration Group, like I do.
Yep.
You lead our culture team development. So that's kind of your world, among other things. But why are you so passionate about Restoration Group and just what we are setting out to do as a business?
Yeah, I made notes, but I probably didn't need to because I think it's really obvious or easy for me to answer in that I feel like I've been on all, like, I don't want to say sides because there's just so many, like, I feel like I've just been all over the spectrum when it comes to what you talked about, like integrating faith and business. I feel like I've been part of, in my adult life, part of businesses that were very clearly not attempting to do that. Like they were almost working against that. I've been part of businesses that said that they were attempting to do that, but to be honest, that was maybe questionable whether that was real or not, or maybe just, the outward perception that they were going for. And then I've been part of businesses that are genuinely attempting to. I don't think anything is perfect, but genuinely attempting to do that. And then I've also been on all different spectrums I've been the employee in some of those scenarios. I've been in a leadership position. I've been from the outside looking in. And to be clear, like, I think that I have been on the good, bad, and ugly sides of that as well. So not at all to point the finger at these other organizations did it poorly and I've been the one to do it well. I think in retrospect can see a lot of ways that I was part of some not so great things. So all that to say, I'm passionate about this because I would love for people to learn from my mistakes and, but also glean wisdom that I've gleaned from other people, and just essentially that we can all learn and grow better in this journey by having conversations, because all of this stuff affects people and people really matter. This wasn't on purpose, but I did just realize my coffee mug says people person. So it fits pretty well that that's why I'm passionate about this, because I wouldn't say I'm a people person. Like, I'm always an extrovert, but I care about people.
Yeah. I just love, for people that don't know, you were belaboring
you were so not happy that
there was a coffee cup that you wanted to have that you couldn't find.
It was nothing bad about this cup. It was just the absence of
so
another
it was so
cup.
Unplanned. And
Do
that's
you
perfect.
think that this is my faith being integrated into this podcast, though, that God moved in a way that he allowed my eyes to be blinded to the mug that I wanted. And instead I got this mug that is actually someone else that we work with that doesn't know that I stole it for this purpose.
Well, we'll find out if she's watching. We'll find out if she ever checks it out.
Not what happened.
Yeah, it's
right.
If the coffee cup you wanted is in your car after this, then we will know that's what happened.
Is this us like testing God? Like, okay, God, show us if this was you.
Let's not do that. I don't think this
On the
is the
rebrand
appropriate
episode, is that not?
I don't think that's the application here.
Folks, the alpha voice said no.
It's never going to end now for me.
So let's pull it back in.
Yep.
So back to the podcast. For anyone listening, especially our audience from Convos with Clay, they might be wondering, is this podcast still relevant to me? So how will someone know if the content we're going to create is something they should be listening to, and that this is a podcast that is designed to serve them?
Yeah. So, I mean, very specifically, we're talking for leaders in the Oklahoma City market, right? So the Oklahoma City metro, who have a desire to integrate their personal Christian faith into the business, whatever that business is. And so, I mean, you could be connected to, maybe you aren't a leader, maybe you're a spouse of, a sibling of, a parent of, right? So if you're 1 degree removed, but that is who we as a company are investing in, again, Oklahoma City leaders who have this, again, I'm going to say a desire, because it doesn't mean, as Aaron talked about, it doesn't mean we've got it right. It doesn't mean we've done it perfectly. It doesn't mean we have all the answers, because we don't. But that if someone out there is like, I have a desire to, and I would love to learn more, that's what we're going to be talking about here, is how to do that.
Yeah. I want to drill down on 2 things for clarity.
Drilling.
You're saying leader.
Yep.
So I've heard you say this before, but I want to just ask again, who is a leader?
Who's
Probably
a leader?
just the people with alpha in their title,
Yeah.
right?
If alpha is in your title and or job description,
This podcast is
this
for you.
is for you.
I'm not going to be invited back to another episode, am I?
Yeah. Yeah, you guys are my people. This is actually fantastic. I love it. Leader. Yeah, so that doesn't mean just the CEO. It doesn't just mean the owner. Those people would fall in that category. Sure. But if you have influence, I would call you a leader. That's what I would say. And then I would passionately make an argument that anyone has influence, right, if we choose to, and how we apply ourselves. And I know we actually have some upcoming guests on future episodes that aren't the number 1, 2, like they are an employee of a company, but they can speak to the impact as to when a business does integrate it and how they play their part in that, how it makes a difference for the employees of the business and then of the clients or the market that business serves.
Yep. That's great. And the other thing I want to spotlight, you've said it multiple times, but I just want to make sure.
That means I've been hitting my talking points.
I want to make sure people don't miss it. You're saying Oklahoma City.
I am saying Oklahoma City.
Tell me more.
Okay, the northern boundary of Guthrie. I don't like, what more do you want? No, yeah, we have we are planted here, right? This is home for the three of us. This is home for Restoration Group. This is home to the Restoration Group Network. This is the community we serve. And so we have been, it's been really cool for the last 2 years that the podcast has been like genuinely, I can say global. Like we've had listeners from the Philippines to Korea to Australia to Central Africa to a lot in Europe. South, like we've genuinely all over the world.
And guests from all over the world.
And guests. We have had guests, correct, from all over the world. But for us, again, aligning with Restoration Group, the company, we are putting a very narrow focus on the city that we call home. And so that is who we're speaking to. And all of our upcoming guests are from this area. Like that's the place that we are really wanting to put an emphasis and a focus. Yeah.
So small business.
Small business.
It's a vague term.
It is a vague term.
When you say small business, what do you mean? Who do you intend for that to apply to?
Yeah, I'm definitely not the SBA. I'm not the Small Business Administration, because I really learned their term. So talking about like the PPP loan, it's your favorite subject, right? The PP, the Paycheck Protection Program.
Sorry, as soon as you guys started talking about business, I kind of.
Oh boy, that's why she's the Chief Admiral of people.
Not of small business.
But you know, they define it as companies with 500 employees or less, which I learned applying for the PPP loan, and I'm like, 500 people? That is ginormous. I know. So no, the way we're defining that is 200 employees or less, and that's our feel. That's how we're describing it. So if you are a one woman or one man show and you're running it out of your garage as a solopreneur, you know, right now, you're in the wheelhouse of what we're talking about. If you've built a business and started to hire employees and are beginning to learn the mini dynamics of having a team and trying to scale, this is a podcast for you. If you've got a couple hundred employees and then you are humming as a business and you are thriving, but you're like, wait a minute, you can intentionally take your Christian faith and try to begin to integrate it into the way you lead, into I'd say the DNA or the infrastructure of the business. This is a podcast for you. You know, I think it could be in any of those spectrums. That's who we're talking to. Yeah.
So that sounds good to me.
Oh, good.
I
didn't know if we were it wasn't for sure if it was going to happen or not until just then.
Glad he's on board.
Yeah.
That's good to know.
Great job on that pitch.
He is the head of our business development. I mean, it's good to know he's on board.
All I'm saying is I can't get behind a 500 person business, 500 employees being a small business. And it's so subjective. Everyone's going to have different opinions on that.
No doubt.
Please put them in the comments.
If they're commenting, that's awesome.
I just want to hear people that are like, Michael, you're wrong.
Michael, we have 501.
I am so good at arguing. Please, I welcome.
That sounds like a challenge.
I welcome the debate. That sounds excellent. So for the observant few of Convos with Clay, and especially for the folks that have been around with us for a while.
Yeah, I'm going to stop and say thank you to you who he's talking to right now. Thank you.
Totally. Yeah. That have some. I know of people that have been there since day one.
Yes.
And then the audience has grown to where we don't know everyone that listens, but we have people that have been in it for a while. We went from a weekly rhythm of new episodes to making the strategic decision last year in 2022 to go to every other week.
Yes.
So with the Restoration Group podcast, Aaron, I'll let you kind of talk about what can our audience expect from us just in regards to new content, what's coming out, what's the schedule and everything. What does that look like?
Yeah, we will still be releasing on Tuesdays. So if you like many of our listeners, have an alarm set for that, it's still Tuesday, so you can keep it.
Don't update your alarm.
Yeah, do not update your alarm. It will be weekly on Tuesdays, though. So if
wait. Every week?
Every single week.
We're back.
Yes.
See
so
you
I guess
next Tuesday.
You need to update your alarm if you put it to bi-weekly. It's every week on Tuesdays.
Good.
We can be found. I'm saying we can be found like people are searching for us, but the podcast could be found on all major podcast platforms, Apple, Spotify, Google, whatever else is out there that I'm not aware of. Also, you can get information and check it out on the website, which is restorationgroup.co. But that, I feel like you should see that in print. I'm not going to spell it out because it's very long.
We'll just spell out the .co.
Yes. Instead of .com, just take off the M.
That's right.
Making it
drop
easy for
the M.
you.
Yeah, we don't want you to have to type as much.
You know what? You're welcome.
That's right.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
Okay. And
gold.
also, this is something new, though, and this is something fun. Depending on what lens you look at it through, that also, if you would like to catch every awkward face that I make, and every time we redo the backdrop, which I foresee being a lot.
How many times did you redo the backdrop prior to us hitting record today?
It depends on what your definition of redo is.
You choose.
Then none. Okay. But some might say 5 or 6. I just didn't want to say 5 or 6 because I don't want people to be like, took you 5 or 6 tries to get to that? That was great. So more to come. All right. It's a work in progress. But if you want to catch our ever-changing backdrop and maybe leave us some comments or ideas there. All that to say, this is also available on YouTube, so you can actually physically watch this.
Yes.
Not while you drive, but you can, safety first. So you can watch that, which is a new part of the podcast, which I'm really excited about.
Though, let's just give a little PSA that if you do see someone on their phone, and they're at a stoplight, let's maybe not berate them at the stoplight. Could you agree with me on that?
I can 1000% agree.
Right,
and you may or may not be alluding to a recent life event that I had, not where I was doing the berating. Let me be clear.
You were the berated.
Yes.
Not the
with
berator.
Very explicit words.
Yeah,
Do we have like a censor button on that where if I say the word, you can beep, bleep it out?
I think that we can.
Let's try it.
I'll beep you.
Yeah. Okay, on 3. 1, 2, no, I'm kidding.
We will get an explicit rating from day 1 with the Restoration Group podcast.
Yeah, not what we're looking for.
Nope.
What? That might work. I don't know. I could get into it.
Okay, well, TBD. We'll figure that out. So also, whichever group that is of you, if you're watching or listening or both or whatever you're doing, it's still story and conversation based, which I think you kind of already covered, and specifically focusing around integrating faith and business, which you covered, Alpha Communicator, and also as well as some tenets or principles that we have used to do this, to integrate faith and business. Again, not from the perspective that we have all the answers, but just things that we've tried along the journey and things that we've got some experience in, probably good, bad, and ugly. So that's kind of what you can expect moving forward with the Restoration Group podcast.
Yeah.
So Clay.
Yes, sir.
This is, we're a team here, and you do a great job. We can poke fun at you about the alpha thing because of the type of leader that you are.
Thank you.
For not firing us, for publicly
thank you for my job.
Humiliating you. I don't know. I have had the privilege of being a part of Convos with Clay from the beginning, but I also just want to acknowledge that this is probably the biggest change for you, just in the adaption. And so much of that is what's happened behind the scenes that will never make it on the podcast. People won't know about, but I'm kind of maybe catching you off guard. This wasn't planned, but just like walk through the word in my mind is the emotional journey that you've gone on personally to go from what people might not know about, a podcast that was just you, that we actually had before we started Convos with Clay.
Yeah, that's right.
And then we added the guest element and the conversational format, and now we're iterating and evolving again. I have observed that journey in you, and you can't bundle it in 30 seconds, but I think it's significant and would just love for people to hear what that has been like and how we got here today doing this.
Yeah. You like that you got that one. You pulled that one out of left field.
Yeah. You've been planning this all day.
You said a word in the question that I do think is very apt and accurate when you said journey. And so I think that's the place I would focus on to explain the emotional side, is that it is an evolution, even of myself. And I think you kind of even talked about it earlier, where you, Aaron, for those that are not on video, Aaron, you talked about maybe there were times that you did something and you were genuinely sincere in how you were doing it. But as you like gain awareness or reflect in hindsight, then you recognize maybe where you were off a little bit, or maybe where you could have done it a little different, or maybe where you created misalignment when you were sincerely trying your best to follow God, right? Like genuinely follow God, when you were genuinely trying to bring your best. And I would describe the journey for me with the podcast similar to that, because I don't think I get to today if I don't do that, even though in hindsight I look back and I'm like, man, I wish I would have made some different decisions, because I'm naturally, we'll talk about this in an episode very, very soon, I naturally want results yesterday. Like that's just in my DNA. I expect it to be done. I'm perpetually, I feel behind and like I've missed it. That's I'm 40. Yes, I am the old person at this table. I know, middle-aged, though we've had this
note
debate.
For the audio, my eyes are huge in thinking about 40.
Firmly middle-aged.
Firmly middle-aged at 40.
Wow.
But I now in hindsight, I recognize I feel like I've been behind or have missed my opportunity as a leader, as an entrepreneur, as a follower of Christ. I've felt that way since I was 20 something.
Yeah.
And I think some of the awareness I'm gaining is that's just a tension inside of me of trying to let go of the control piece. And so I would say that's been a big part of the release journey, this control piece for me. And so I wouldn't trade any of the work, the learnings, the journey, the people. Oh my goodness, that was my favorite. That's been my favorite part.
Yeah.
Like even doing this now, is doing it with the two of you is the part that I love the most.
Yeah.
I'm talking about subjects I care about, but I get to do it with two individuals who are partners and of mine at the company, and dear friend of mine that I love and care about. That's the joy for me, is the people are. So I wouldn't trade any of that from the old podcast, because the amount of guests that we got from all over the world and friends now from Australia and literally like global that we've met. But still, the journey's brought me here that I'm like, oh, this is where we need to be, God. This is the thing. And in our market and our space here, specifically for leaders in Oklahoma City small businesses who are like, yeah, I want to I'm a Christian. But when we bring up the idea or even talk about intentionally applying that at your business, it's a little like uncomfortable or confusing, but then yet you want more of it. That's the place that I'm like, oh, I want to serve there. I want us to bring our experience, because I'm 40 and the gray hair that I got and the balding I got is all the lessons that I've been learning the last decade doing that at my first small business that I founded. And so that's why we've started Restoration Group, is to share those, as Aaron talked about, the principles, right? The integrated business guide that we're creating with these principles to be able to share with all of you, because it's not programmatic. If you want to integrate your faith, it is not A, B, C, D. It is not 1, 2, 3, 4. Following Jesus and doing this is messy. By the way, kind of like even our banter and this and the silly to the serious and like kind of the paradoxical nature even of what we're doing. This is just a microcosm of that. And that's the place that this is supposed to be. And for Restoration Group, that's what we are here to invest in, that community, to stand with them and serve with them in trying to do that. Yeah.
The one thing I want to pull out of that I think applies to everyone, and especially anyone listening, and I just had a conversation yesterday with someone about this idea that I'm hearing in your story, is we're on step 9 or 10 of our podcasting journey. And it all started when you took step 1 of just starting it. And you didn't know what it was going to look like. You had ideas that are now not the same. And I think we feel so like we want the full 10-step process before we ever take the first step.
Come on.
And I think this podcast for us has been the embodiment of just taking the next step.
That's right.
And I think that is so valuable. And I think we're exactly where we need to be now.
Yep.
But we would have never gotten here if not for the faithfulness to take the first step and then the next step and so on and so forth. So that's a bit of a tease for some future content that we'll flesh out more on an episode in a few weeks or so. But I'm excited. That's good. So final thoughts. You don't have to have any, but if you don't, I'll judge you. Aaron, you can go first.
Wow. Well, I'm getting mixed signals because you looked directly at me when you said you don't have to have any. So I didn't know if that was like
he followed it with he's going to judge you.
Oh, okay, I shouldn't have any. Got it. We should wrap it up. And then it was like, but I'll be heavily judged. I don't know what to do. So
have a final thought.
Final thought. Don't roll down your window and berate strangers at a stoplight.
Come on.
Here we go.
You know,
that's a good place to start.
That's a good first step.
Yes.
For
people
your
person.
day.
You're a people person.
Real final thought is I'm thankful to be part of this journey. I'm thankful for, you know what I thought of when you were talking about your podcast journey was I feel like I've said this 1,000 times in the past few years. And so it's become kind of like almost an annoying cliche to myself. But I constantly say, I don't love, in relation to my own life, just in general, like, I don't love how I got here, but I'm really thankful for where I am. I would say that's applicable to how I feel about this project and this podcast and this team. So those are my final thoughts.
That's a great
Probably
thought.
for the last time that I'll be on. So they're like final thoughts because I don't think I'm getting invited back.
I haven't looked at Michael yet to see the judgmental level on his face, but we'll find out.
It's been real, listeners.
One and done. She's like a high school basketball star. What you got?
Wow.
Yeah.
I am just grateful for the journey that we've been on. I'm so excited to bring on the guests that we have lined up.
Come on.
And just, I can't wait to see where this year takes us in 2023 on the podcast with the conversations people get to learn from and the ideas we'll get to stir up.
Yeah. Love it. Thanks for sharing that. I got a new thing that I'm going to start now with the rebrand. Where one of the things, the final thing that I'll close every episode with is just a verse that was stirring for me, relevant to the subject matter in preparation and in prep. And so that's going to be my final thought. I'm just going to go ahead and use scripture, guys. I mean, if you've got your own thoughts, that's fine. But
what version are you using? Because this is where you'll be heavily judged.
That's the alpha card.
It will vary week to week. How about
is it straight from the Hebrew or no?
It's going to be the Koine Greek.
Great.
Is what I'm going to go
That's
with.
perfect. That's what I studied in college.
Okay. 1 Peter 5, 10 and 11. 1 Peter 5, 10 and 11. And the God of all grace, who called you to his eternal glory in Christ, after you've suffered a little while, will restore you and make you strong, firm and steadfast. To him be the power forever and ever. Amen. And so from us at Restoration Group and everybody at the Restoration Group podcast, thank you for joining us on our rebrand episode, the first ever on this. And we're thankful for you. Know that. And we look forward to seeing you next week. And until then, choose life. Thanks for tuning into our show. If you want to learn more about how you can integrate your faith into your business, download our integrated business guide for free by clicking the link in the show notes below. Thanks again for joining us, and we'll see you next time.